Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to rise on behalf of the fiscally sane people of Algonquin, Renfrew, Pembroke. Recently, I had asked this reckless spending government's minister if he could cancel their plan to hike the price of fuel in the budget. Well, the budget is out and the tax is still on. This tax is just one of many the Liberals have brought in. These taxes, they're hidden and quietly eat away at the purchasing power of Canadians. The response from the Liberal Secretary of State, put up to shield the minister, shows how the Liberal Party at its core just doesn't get it. Canadians spend more on taxes than anything else. They spend more on taxes than they do on housing. Government is the single most expensive purchase we make. Yet these Liberals have the gall to stand here and tell us that making government more expensive is an affordability measure. No shock here. After all, this is the same party that ran on the slogan, "Eat cake and have it too." But the brazenness with which they trick Canadians is shocking. They promised a generational change, but what they meant is that it would be a generation before anything changes. They promised no cuts to the public service, but now frontline workers are being laid off and Canadians are left on hold. They promised no cuts to transfers or people or provinces. Now, they're cutting veterans' benefits and student grants. Despite those cuts to people who did not vote Liberal in the last election, they are posting one of the biggest deficits in history. Their slogan should have been more spending, fewer services. Canadians are rightfully asking, where are my tax dollars going? Well, despite their best efforts to silence the parliamentary budget officer, the truth is out. The Brookfield Prime Minister has reclassified corporate welfare as an investment. And that's no surprise considering who he has running the government. Canada's clerk of the Privy Council lives in a turnstile. One year, he's the top finance bureaucrat bringing in corporate welfare for the electric utilities. The next year, he's the CEO of an electric utility. One year, he's running Montreal's transit company. Another year, he is head of Trudeau's infrastructure bank, giving money away to Montreal's transit company. His is not much different from the resume of our Prime Minister, moving from an investment bank to a finance department, from central banks to investment firms. While some in the media have focused on the Prime Minister's significant conflicts of interest, when you look at the strategy he took at Brookfield, how could it not be? Under his watch, Brookfield targeted companies at the nexus of business and government. As CEO, he would invest in something such as a modular home building company. Then, as a former central banker, he would lobby governments to build more modular housing. Now he's Prime Minister and holding photo ops in front of modular housing, which he will fund with our tax dollars. This is what so many people get wrong about the World Economic Forum. There's no conspiracy. It's just a bunch of executives from public services playing a game of musical chairs with executives from global companies. They sit around in a circle like a bunch of good old boys, patting themselves on the back for being so clever. Then they all fly home to implement bad policies or invest in bad companies. When it all fails, they use even more taxpayer dollars to bail each other out. Carney's friends get 6- and 7-figure salaries, while Canadians get laid off. I'm sorry, Madam. Please I apologize. Madam Speaker, the real Liberal Party slogan, spend less on Canadians, invest more with their corporate friends.
Parliamentary Secretary to the Minister of Environment and Climate Change.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Canadians expect a government that protects affordability and secures their future and their children's future, not one or the other. The opposition paints climate action as a bill Canadians cannot afford, but what Canadians cannot afford is inaction. Climate-driven droughts, wildfires, and storms are already disrupting our supply chains and our agricultural sector and our communities. Those events raise costs for more than the climate solutions we are putting in place. Let's be clear, climate action is not a luxury, it is an economic necessity. And when we talk about costs, we need the facts. The opposition suggests that cancelling the clean fuel regulations would magically lower grocery bills or fuel costs. Madam Speaker, that is wishful thinking. Prices today are being pushed by global energy volatility, supply and chain pressures, and corporate pricing power. Eliminating climate policy does not make world oil prices drop. The clean fuel regulations have helped drive tens of billions in investments across Canada in projects such as low carbon fuels and carbon capture and storage. These projects support good-paying jobs for thousands of Canadians across this country. As announced September 5th, we are making targeted changes to the CFR to further support Canada's biofuel sector while maintaining the primary purpose of the regulation to reduce emissions. Excuse me. Canadians want leadership that protects jobs while protecting the planet. They want clean energy growth, competitive industries, and secure, affordable futures for their children. That is why our government is committed to smart, fair, predictable climate policy that strengthens the economy rather than undermines it. This is about responsibly managing today's costs while safeguarding tomorrow's prosperity, Madam Speaker, and that is the Canadian way. Thank you.
The honourable member for Algonquin, Pembroke Renfrew.
Madam Speaker, my favorite Liberal talking point is when they compare Canada to the other G7 countries. It feels like when a teenager comes home drunk for the first time and protests, well, all the other kids were drunker. It's a bit like their claim that inflation wasn't their fault because there was inflation in other countries. I guess it was just a coincidence that all those other countries were running big deficits too. I know for some people, when a bunch of governments enact the same policies using the same propaganda, it can look nefarious. The truth is, these corporate progressive types just aren't very creative. They copy each other's policies and slogans in a desperate attempt to sell us the same corporatist, technocratic agenda. We don't need liberal protectionism, mandates, or subsidies. We need to cut the competition-killing regulation, enforce the competition promotion regulations, and then just get out of the way so Canadians can build a brighter future.
The honourable parliamentary secretary.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And affordability matters, and so does economic security. The government will continue to pursue policies that protect workers, strengthen competitiveness, and ensure Canada leads in the clean energy future. That is how we build an economy that works on Canadians today and delivers opportunity for the next generation, for my children's generation, and 6, 7 generations ahead. Thank you, Madam Speaker.